Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Defining Discipline podcast. I'm your host, Scott. This is episode 349, as well as day 349 of my journey. At the beginning of the year, I challenged myself to run 365 days in a row, all outside, bearing the elements, whatever they may bring. I also challenged myself to run 1,500 miles within this yearly time frame, as well as to run 2 major races within this yearly time frame and during this streak. One of those races being a 50K ultra marathon trail race, the Yankee Springs 50K trail race out in Middleville, Michigan. That was on day 156 of my journey, and I was able to finish that race within 7 hours, 15 minutes, and 22 seconds. Now, the next race that came up within this yearly time frame was on day 290 of my journey, and that was the Detroit Free Press Marathon. I was able to run that 26.2 mile race within 3 hours, 57 minutes, and 28 seconds, which was a personal record for me. I was very excited about both those races being actual personal records for me. Not only were they personal records for me, but I was able to run those big races and continue the run streak the following days, and continue the run streak to today, where we are on day 349, and we're going to break down the mileage for the day, the week, and the month, and the year. So for the day today, day 349, got out there again and put in another 5K for the day. That put me at, which a 5K is 3.1 miles for those who may not know. It's 3.1 miles for the day. That put me at 9.4 miles for the week, which put me at 47 miles even for the month, and 1,622.4 miles for the year. So we can clearly focus in on these yearly miles of 1622.4. We have surpassed the 1,500 mile goal. It was originally 1,250. Surpassed that, realized we needed to up it, moved it to 1,500. Now we surpassed that. Don't have an official goal here that we're going for. Was having a foot issue at the beginning here of December. I wanted to go for 1,750 for the year, but foot issue arose after putting in so many miles in November, so I had to really step back the miles. Now I don't really have a set goal, just going to see where we end up. So we have surpassed the 1,500 mile mark for the year, so that goal for the year is done. The 2 races in the year have been done. Now we just have the run streak to finish. So we're here on day 249. Now let's focus in on these monthly miles as well. So we're at 47 for the month of December so far. And every single month I challenge myself to run a 100-mile challenge, and I do it in honor of a charity in which I donate money to, as well as I start a coinciding fundraiser to try to raise money and awareness for. So for the first 11 months of the year, raise money for 11 great charities. Now we're here within the 12th month, the month of December, and we're raising money for yet another great charity. This charity being St. Jude Children's Hospital. So if you'd like to donate to this month's charity, you can find the link to do so on the Defining Discipline Instagram story or the Defining Discipline Facebook story, or my personal page's Instagram story or my personal page's Facebook story. Within those stories, all you have to do is click on the link, in which it'll open up the Facebook page where you can actually make your donations. I do know times are tough, but keep in mind that every single donation that you make, every penny of it is going directly to the charity. Facebook is not taking any portion or percentage of your donations. So that is a cool thing to keep in mind. There's some companies that when you donate through them, they take a percentage, a fee, so they say in order to give your actual donation to that charity. Facebook is not doing that. Everything you donate to this charity goes directly to it. But I do know times are tough. Not everyone can afford to donate. If you want to still help out, the next best thing you can do is click on that share button, because we're trying to raise awareness for this cause throughout this month, and the best way to do that is get as many eyes on it as possible. So maybe you have donated. You can still help out by clicking that share button as well. But either way, get your donations in and let's help raise awareness for St. Jude's here in the month of December. Now that we've talked about that, we can kind of get into today's actual episode. But as always, right before we do so, let's go over today's word of the day by Merriam-Webster Dictionary. Today's word of the day for December 15th is talisman. Talisman. A talisman is something that is believed to have magic powers and to bring good fortune. Talisman. I know it's supposed to have kind of like a ethnic accent to it. At least that's how I've always heard it. But talisman. So that is today's word of the day for December 15th. Now let's get into today's actual episode. So for 349, day 349, today's theme for today's episode. I've been trying to save a lot of these good ones for the end here, so this is something I wanted to talk about, and that is consequence. I wanted to talk about consequence because it is something that is always going to be inevitable. It's something that's always going to happen, and it's something I think, me for myself, for the longest time, I never really took into account, so I think that a lot of people kind of go day to day without really thinking about consequences. And we may think of certain consequences, but we think of them maybe on a more expedient version of a consequence, one that's really, more current, something that will get a quicker return instead of something that, an overall maybe years down the line consequence. Either way, I wanted to talk about it today because over the years, it's something that I've truly kind of transitioned my thought on, and it's something I've been trying to really focus on as well. Like I said before, being younger, not really thinking or focusing in on a lot of the consequences of my actions, or just the consequences in general of a lot of the things I was trying to accomplish or just trying to go for within my life and doing within my life. Lots of drinking, not really having any sort of aim, just trying to party all the time and have a good time and never take anything seriously. It had its own set of consequences. And again, it was really when I kind of stepped back and kind of focused on that, and focused on, one, the things I was contributing to, what I was doing and what it was contributing to my life, what kind of consequences were coming out of my everyday actions, of, lack of ambition, just wanting to kind of maybe have a good time of partying or playing video games, not really having any, not being very goal-oriented or really even thinking about what it was I wanted for a future. I was kind of scared of the future, so I never really tried to aim at anything. And again, that has a huge consequence on, what's actually going to happen. Without having an aim, the older you get, the farther you fall behind from really accomplishing anything. So it wasn't until, I really started to analyze this and realize that either way, no matter what you do, what you go for, there's always going to be a consequence. So you can not try, and you can avoid the things you need to do, but that is going to have a consequence. Or you can face the things you need to do head on, and you can try your hardest, and that as well will have its consequence. And maybe even the consequence of you trying hard, maybe it doesn't work out the way you planned it to, but I can damn well bet the consequence of you trying and giving it all is still going to be a lot better than the consequence of not putting any action forward at all. And again, I wanted to talk about this because it's something that rings deep with me over these past few years, and trying to really realize that no matter what action we do, no matter what step we take, we go left, we go right, we take the red pill, we take the blue pill, no matter what it is, every single action, every single move we make has some sort of consequence. Me talking about this episode right now is having its own consequence. So every direction you go in will have in return its own consequence, and it will start its own pathway. So to really try to focus in on again, these actions and decisions I've been making, that is something I've been really trying to do, and realize that it does have a consequence. Maybe right now it gives me an advantage, but maybe farther down the line it's only going to set me back. Or you could think of it again the opposite. Maybe it's only going to set me back now, but farther down the line it's going to really help me along and make me better for sacrificing the expediency of trying to get the pleasure or whatever it is I'm seeking urgently. So that is something I've really found out, and it's something that I've kind of focused on my consequences. I'm trying to really put a lot of time in towards working on something and maybe not getting an instant return on it, but just waiting for it and realizing that the more you work on it, the good things will come. There will be consequences for whatever you do, good or bad. So that's kind of really what today's episode's about. There's not much more I can talk about consequences. It's just the fact that really realizing that all decisions that we make have consequences. So to try to make the best decisions possible, because you want to have good consequences in return. You don't want to make a bad decision that again will be seeking pleasure for the time being. Making a decision like that could really make you suffer within the future. It could have a negative consequence in the future. So that is one thing I've at least kind of discovered over these past few years, is trying to go for the things to please us now. Usually always ends up in a negative consequence later down the road. And like I said, trying to sacrifice having such a good time now and sacrifice the pleasure for now has a positive consequence later down the road. That's something I've at least discovered and been trying to really hone in on and focus in on. So that being said, your daily discipline for the day today, day 349, it is to realize these consequences. It is to realize that every decision you make has a consequence, and to start making the best decisions in order for the best consequences in return. That is your daily discipline for the day today. Figure out what consequences you want in return and start making those actions to get those consequences. Other than that, thank you guys so much for following along and listening. Very excited and stoked. About to hit the 350 tomorrow, day 350 that is, and going to be literally 15 days away from closing this year out of running in a row. The run streak technically is already at 352. I did run 3 days in 2020, building up into 2021, because I had 2020 goals that I had to meet as well, and had to really finish out that year strong. And so I had 3 days going into 2020, 29th, the 30th, the 31st, and then January 1st we started this running. So we are technically on day 352 in a row, but for the year, this year, we are on day 349, and only 15 days away from closing out this year, 2021. So very excited, very stoked. I do want to thank you guys for following along because it's been such a long journey. If you guys can, please give the podcast a like, a subscribe, a follow, and a share on our Facebook, our Instagram, our TikTok, our YouTube, and whatever podcast streaming platform you've been listening and following along on. Other than that, I will see you guys tomorrow for episode 350. Get your daily discipline done today. Get your donations in for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. And until tomorrow, peace out, guys. Thanks.